Order. Questions to the Prime Minister. Alex Shelburne. Number 1, Mr. Speaker. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others, and in addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Shelburne. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
First of all, congratulate my honourable friend on his return to the House with, I think, doubling his majority. There are a number of results in his part of Yorkshire that I took a particular interest in and was pleased to see happen.
Harriet Harman.
Can he tell us, since he became Prime Minister in 2010, has the percentage of people owning their own home gone up or gone down?
Well, it's been a very challenging time for people to buy their own homes, but what we're responsible for is almost 100,000 people able to buy their own homes because of the right to buy and because of Help to Buy, 2 schemes opposed by Labour.
Since he became Prime Minister, the percentage of people who own their own home has fallen. He's promised, under this new scheme, the replacement of sold-off properties on a one-for-one basis. He promised that on council homes in the last Parliament. Can he remind us whether he kept that promise?
Well, first of all, if she's complaining about home ownership, will she confirm she'll support the extension of the right to buy to housing associations? Will you support that approach? Will you support that? There we are, there we have it. A landmark manifesto commitment. Let's expand the right to buy to housing associations, but as ever, the enemies of aspiration in the Labour Party won't support it. Well, first of all, we built more council homes in the last 5 years than were built under 13 years of the last Labour government. I say to the Honourable Lady, she can't ask these questions about supporting home ownership unless she answers the simple question, will you back housing association tenants being able to buy their homes? Yes or no?
Prime Minister.
We made very clear our position on child benefit in the election, and I confirm that again at the dispatch box. But let's be clear, absolutely no answer from the Labour Party about housing association tenants. We're clear, they should have the right to buy. So we can now see the new Labour backing of aspiration after the election. It's lasted 3 weeks. That's how long they've given to aspiration. Let me give her another chance. We say housing association tenants get the right to buy. What does she say?
Harriet Harman.
Well, his commitment not to cut child benefit during the course of this Parliament has not even lasted a few days. That's what his spokesperson said, and he's not been committed to it. Can he tell us about another issue of importance to families, which is whether he's going to rule out further cuts to working families' tax credits?
Well, again, we've said we're freezing tax credits in the next 2 years because we need to get the deficit down and we want to keep people's taxes down. But isn't it interesting that the whole of the last Parliament, Labour came here and opposed every single spending reduction, every single welfare saving, and they've learnt absolutely nothing. They are still the party of more spending, more welfare, more debt. It's extraordinary. The 2 people responsible for this great policy of theirs, one of them lost the election, the other one lost his seat. The messengers have gone, but the message is still the same.
The Prime Minister spent the last 5 years saying everything that was wrong was because of the previous Prime Minister. Well, he can't do that for the next 5 years because the last Prime Minister was him. I hope he'll bear in mind when things go wrong over the next Prime Minister, the next 5 years, there's no one responsible but him.
Well, first of all, we're still clearing up the mess her government left behind. But look, the Honourable Lady asked for an example of a welfare cut. Let me give her one. We think we should cut the welfare cap from £26,000 per household to £23,000 per household. Now, in her speech, in reply to the gracious speech, it sounded like she was going to come out and support that. So why not? Let's see how Labour are going to approach this. Will you support a cut in the welfare cap?
The Right Honourable and Learned Lady has had her 6 questions and... Everyone should be clear about that. Mr. Angus Robertson.
About the untimely death of Charles Kennedy, I know we are making tributes a little bit later. It's a stain on the conscience of Europe that thousands and thousands of refugees have been dying in the Mediterranean when many lives could have been saved. Does the Prime Minister agree that the role of the Royal Navy, of the Italian Coast Guard and of the navies of other European countries is making a profound difference? However, much more needs to be done, including offering refuge and asylum to those who need it.
Well, first of all, he's right to mention Charles Kennedy, and we'll have those tributes rightly after Prime Minister's questions. He's also right to praise the role of the Royal Navy in dealing with this tragedy in the Mediterranean. HMS Bulwark, the flagship of the Royal Navy, has been playing an absolutely key role in saving lives. But I would part company with him on his next suggestion. What we need to do in order to solve this crisis is 2 things. One, we need a government in Libya that we can work with so that it's possible to return people to Africa and stop this criminal trade taking place. And second, we need to break the link between getting on a boat and achieving residence in Europe. That's what needs to be done. In the meantime, everything Britain can do as a moral and upstanding nation to save lives, we will do, and we should be proud that we are doing it.
Angus Robertson.
And 80 years ago, that's what the United Kingdom did when it offered refuge and asylum to those who were being pursued by the Nazis. And we all know about the kinder transport and the children that were accepted and given refuge in the UK. Now, in contrast, however, the UK has an appalling record on the resettlement of Syrian refugees and is not prepared to cooperate with other European nations on accepting refugees that have been rescued in the Mediterranean. Why does the Prime Minister think that it is fair for Sweden and for Germany and other countries to accept these refugees while the UK turns its back on them?
Well, first of all, I would take issue with the honourable gentleman that we have an asylum system and a record of giving people asylum in this country that we should be proud of. When people are fleeing torture and persecution, they can find a home here in Britain. But let's be clear, the vast majority of people who are setting off into the Mediterranean are not asylum seekers, but are people seeking a better life. They've been tricked and fooled by criminal gangs, and our role should be going after those criminal gangs, sorting out the situation in Libya, turning back those boats where we can, and making sure with our generous aid budget that this government achieved 0.7%, that we use that money to mend the countries from which these people are coming. That is our moral responsibility and what I'm proud to fulfil.
Cat Smith.
Can the Prime Minister inform the House when he expects the UK to regain its AAA credit rating?
Well, first of all, can I welcome the Honourable Lady to her place and congratulate her on her election success. And if I might say, I think the first question she asked, which is about fiscal responsibility and sustainability, I take that as a sign of progress. I would say to her, there's a leadership election on. I'd throw your hat in the ring. In that one question, she's made more sense than all the rest of them put together. Go for it.
Patrick Grady.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister might be aware of the ongoing case of my constituent, Dr. Steve Foreman, who, despite his immense contribution to the music and creative scene in Glasgow, Scotland and around the world, the Home Office are seeing fit to try to deport back to the United States. Can the Prime Minister tell the House why people like Dr. Foreman don't seem to be welcome in this country? Because if the Prime Minister can't run an immigration policy that works for Scotland, then I know a government up the road that would be very happy to take on the
First of all, can I congratulate the honourable gentleman on his election? I'm not aware of the specific case that he raises, but I will look at it urgently after Prime Minister's questions and see what I can do.
Rachel Maskell.
Under the Right to Buy plan, 3 social houses will need to be sold to generate enough revenue to build 1 new one, leaving 1,500 families in York without a home for well over 2 years. Is this what the Prime Minister means by aspiration?
Well, first of all, let me welcome the Honourable Lady to the House and congratulate her on her election victory. There are 2 things that we're doing to provide these replacement houses. One is obviously for every housing association that sells a home, it has that receipt and is able to build a new house. But also, we're making sure that councils actually sell off the most expensive council houses they have when they become vacant. In parts of London, there are council houses worth over £1 million, and you can build many, many more houses. But what's clear from this question time is on this side of the House, we understand home ownership, aspiration, people wanting to get on. The party opposite, after the most catastrophic election defeat in years, can't even begin to spell aspiration.
Order.